cold mid-January morning in the UK. Parts of the country covered in snow. It's about -2 here on the Northumberland coast. And this is my first ever attempt at a YouTube video. So this part of the coastline is so special, and I just wanted to share some of it with you as I guess, my first foray into this medium. It's certainly not my first foray into video. I taught documentary filmmaking for many, many years of my life at university level, and I don't know why it's taken me this long to pick up a camera and turn it on myself, but a lot of these kind of endeavours are about confidence, and it took a while for me to build my confidence up. And I want this to be about the journey. I want this to be about connection. I want it to be about not just the places in the photograph, but something some magic that photography can bring. So I suppose what I hope is that if you know who I am anyway, if you've followed me over here from other social media, that this will give you a bit more of an insight into the stuff that I do. And if you're brand new here, I really hope that you enjoy some of the images that I share, some of the techniques that I share, and some of the little historical facts and fun stuff that will come as part of this as well. And here we are at sunrise on one of my favourite beaches in the UK. The tide is on the turn, so let's take some images. Okay, so I've set up my camera. There's some lovely colour coming through in the sky that I'll show you in a second. And I've got some lovely rocks in the foreground, and with the orange glow that we're getting off the clouds, that's just going to bounce off some of the wet sand and the rocks and really just create a lovely, lovely foreground, and the eye will inevitably end up leading all the way to the castle. So on the front of my camera, I've got circular polarizer, I've got an ND grad as well, I think a 0.9. And that's just to dampen down the sky a little bit. I could shoot bracketed if I wanted to keep some of that dynamic range in, but today I think the grad's going to do exactly what I need it to do. So I'm going to take some frames, and yeah, I'll see where we go from there. What we've got behind me is a leftover relic from World War II, and you'll find these up and down the east coast of the UK. Different names for them. Pillboxes is one, tank tracks is another. Tank defences is what they are essentially. If the UK was invaded by the Germans, to help prevent that. And I like what they've done with them here. They've essentially painted them, so you've got a couple that look like Rubik's cubes, and I like that they're part of the landscape, and some people might then find them a little bit unseemly, but again, they're part of that historical narrative, and it's good to keep stuff like that in situ because it really reminds us of the history of the place. This isn't just about pretty photos. This is a coastline that's been weathered and has withstood invasion, from Vikings to all kinds of different historical events. Okay, so came away from the rocks, go a little bit slammed with a wave. Those sneaker waves can sneak up on you, I guess, even though the tide is going out, so you have to be careful. It was just a breach, a Wellington boot breach. And who doesn't love cold, wet feet? Anyway, we've come down to the beach because the light is gorgeous over towards the Farne Isles. And you've got these high rolling waves coming in. So I've slapped on the 100 to 400mm lens and I'm zooming right in on the Farne Isles and just trying to capture those waves in motion. And I think what I'm going to do is, again, try and get maybe a half-second exposure. So Farne Isles and the lighthouse is in focus and the waves have just got a bit of movement in them, and we'll see how that turns out. And hopefully you'll see that on screen in a minute. All right, so I've come down to the beach. The tide is making its way out, and you've got these big, expansive, wide open spaces of wet sand, and they can make for some gorgeous reflections. And that's really what I'm looking for down here. Reflections of the castle, reflections of the sky, and it might be cliche, classic landscape photography territory, but it's the kind of stuff that gets me out of bed in the morning, and it's the stuff I really love to take and process and share. So we're going to go see what we can get from these reflections. Okay, so it's probably around 10 a.m. now. We've lost the light. We've got this kind of high cloud coming in, and I'm not a big fan of high cloud. Low cloud I think you can work with, but high cloud tends to swallow any atmosphere and be quite intrusive. So I think we're going to call it a morning, head and grab some grub, and the forecast is for snow later on, even if it's just snow showers. So yeah, let's see what the day brings. So it took a while for the snow to materialise, and to be honest, I'd just about given up hope that it was going to snow at all. Of course, the rest of the country, well, the northern half of the country got a fair smattering, but the northeast seemed to be immune. But I got up this morning early, about 6 a.m, and there was just a fine layer of snow that had happened overnight. So grabbed my kit and I've come back down to Stag Rocks, which is near Bamburgh, to get a shot back with snow on the rocks and snow on the beach. Now I'm fighting against an incoming tide, so obviously I have to be careful because the sea's a bit ferocious this morning. But also, what that means is that it's going to wash the snow away, so a limited amount of time. I've got a couple of frozen rock pools and snow in the foreground, doing some in portrait and landscape, not using any filters right now because it's dark enough, and then hoping that we'll get a little bit of light as the sun comes up. And I think I can see a couple of snow showers way off in the distance that will hopefully give us a bit of atmosphere. Okay, so I've come up to some of the rocks that have still got some snow on them, basically just to get a really nice foreground. The castle's still got some artificial light on it, and I kind of like that balance between ambient and artificial light. It's something that I play with a lot in my photography. And you've got, as you can see, the lighthouse in the background here, and I've taken a few shots of that as well. Come a little bit further down the beach. The light is finally peeking out and it's catching these tumultuous waves, so I'm going to get some shots of those with a longer lens, 70 to 200, just to get something different from this particularly atmospheric morning. What a morning. Snow on the beach. Eventually got some nice light. I've meandered up and down Bamburgh, been up on Stag Rocks, explored some little details as well, not just the big landscape. And now I'm back in the car, and I think it's probably time for me to sign off. And I would have said previously in some of my mid-shoot monologues is that this is a new territory for me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this takes me. And I'm already grateful that I've embarked on this journey, because just the idea of shooting some content for you guys has got me out of bed, has got me down to the beach and stood for 4 hours in biting conditions. And I'm really excited to see the images that I've got from that. And once again, I'm reminded that photography really is the cherry on top, and being outside, experiencing nature, that's just what makes me tick. It's what gets me out of bed. So yeah, I really hope that you've enjoyed this first foray of mine into video, into YouTube. And I hope you enjoyed the images. If you've got any ideas or stuff that you would like me to do, please do leave them in the comments. If you think there's something you'd like to see me do, whether that's cityscapes or more in-depth technical tutorials, whatever, let me know. Because I've got about 20 ideas that I'm working with at the minute, which I reckon would fill about a year of content, but I'm excited to see what you guys think and what you guys would like to see as well. Any questions at all, give me a shout. And yeah, I'll see you next time.